Welcome to 6 Degrees of Wiki, a podcast where two sisters find the 6 degrees of separation between Wikipedia articles that don't seem to have anything in common. I'm Rosanna.
And I'm Nikki. Today we'll fall into a Wikipedia spiral where we have just 6 rounds to figure out how the first degree could possibly be connected to the last, while learning all sorts of peculiar facts along the way. Let's get started. Since we have an extra Monday this month, we have invited Vanessa from Not Another X-Files podcast to do the guessing for us. Vanessa, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Hi. I first of all want to say I'm super excited to be here.
Yay!
I think when I first joined Lady Pod Squad, your podcast was one of the first ones that I listened to. And
Aww.
and I've just loved it since then. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here. So my co-host Carolyn and I are watching the X-Files episode by episode and podcasting about it.
Awesome.
Nice.
We do a lot of I don't know. We're kind of random. We used to do a lot of improv. We haven't been doing that as much now, but sometimes it still comes up and we just kind of try to have fun with it.
Well, welcome to 6 Degrees of Wiki.
Thank you.
Based on your interest in aliens and all things freaky, we are going to start today's spiral with Alien Abduction.
Ooh.
You ready to start guessing?
I'm so excited. Okay, let me get my little notebook ready so I can write things down.
All right.
I am very confident that I will not get any of these spirals right.
Is that your guess? You're guessing 0 for today?
We'll see.
I think our record is 2, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's ever gotten more than 2 right. I don't think even 3, yeah.
It's hard. When I'm listening to your podcast, I'm trying to guess along with you, and I get it wrong all the time. So
You just never know which way it's going.
yeah.
That's true. And sometimes we mess with each other on purpose.
That's true.
Today we were spiraling from Alien Abduction to Dinosaur.
Ooh, I like that.
We chose Alien Abduction because, obviously, the X-Files starts with the premise of an alien abduction, as you all should know.
Everyone should know that.
Because everyone listening, all men and women had a crush on Fox Mulder growing up. You know it. Admit it. It's true. Still in love.
Right?
I mean, I kind of had a crush on both of them, to be fair.
I was gonna
That's true, that's
say
true.
either Mulder or Scully.
Yeah.
Or both.
They're both amazing.
I wanted to be Scully. Mhm.
Oh, totally.
Round 1.
An alien abduction is described as someone being taken secretly by a non-human entity and then subjected to physical and/or psychological procedures. Dinosaurs are a diverse group of reptiles that first appeared over 230 million years ago. Vanessa, do you see anything that these two things have in common?
The first thing that came to mind, which is not even really a thing, but I was thinking about ancient aliens. Do you know that concept?
Oh, yeah. They did the pyramids, right?
Well, some people believe that because there have been sort of occurrences of different cultural practices around the world, but far apart geographically from each other, some people think that those things were actually brought down to the earth by aliens. And yes, pyramids, building pyramids, fashion things, religious rituals, that kind of thing is part of that. So I'm maybe ancient aliens, but I don't actually believe in ancient alien. I don't believe in the ancient alien theory at all. So I don't know why I was thinking that. But other than that, I don't know. I'm fascinated to see where this is going to go.
Maybe the dinosaurs were the ancient aliens.
Oh. That's weird, Nikki.
That's weird. Spoken like a true sister.
Yeah, well, yeah. Nikki's the weirder of the two, for sure.
Thank you. I wear that badge with pride.
I was going to say, nothing to be ashamed of.
So the term alien abduction describes a situation where a person is taken by something that's not human, but is a human-ish thing. And they're taken against their will to have some kind of procedure performed on them. These people are sometimes called abductees or experiencers. The procedures usually include a medical examination that often focuses on the reproductive system. Abductees have claimed to have been warned about environmental abuse or the threat and the bad result of nuclear weapons. Apparently that's something that the aliens want to pass on to us.
Like we didn't know it.
Right?
Since there usually isn't any objective physical evidence, the abductions are usually dismissed as deception or suggestibility, false memory syndrome, sleep paralysis, and psychopathology. Skeptics also compare the description of the aliens with creatures from science fiction to show that the memory is false. Even though mainstream scientists deny that literal alien abductions are occurring, there have been people that were supposedly abducted that have been given a ton of psychological tests, and the people were found to be stable and reasonable and still believe that this actually happened. So the doctors are like, well, they're not crazy. Doctors found they weren't mentally ill or deluded or lying. They just are really confident about this thing that happened to them. Abduction stories come from all over the world, but more of them come from English-speaking countries, especially the United States and Canada.
Canada, eh? That's where I am.
So a subculture has actually developed around abductions, and it includes support groups and discussions around the reasons for the abductions and like the motivation of the aliens. Like, why are they taking us? What do they want to know? What are they trying to figure out? The abduction of Betty and Barney Hill in 1961 was the first widely published story about an abduction, but there are stories from further back in time. In an 1896 edition of the Daily Mail in California, Colonel H.G. Shaw claimed that he and a friend were harassed by 3 tall, slender humanoid creatures that were covered in a fine downy hair, and they were trying to kidnap them. And that was 1896.
Wow.
Weren't things like cocaine and heroin pretty legal in 1896?
Pretty legal?
I'm not saying they're connected. I'm just saying.
Nikki, he was a colonel.
That's hilarious. Hey, that doesn't mean anything.
Of course not.
Often abductions are reported by adults, and usually the adults are under 40 years old. This makes sense if the aliens are focusing on the reproductive process. They want to get humans that are right in the like peak of reproduction.
Right.
A lot of kids that report abductions live near military bases. So,
Were there a lot of lights and things flying in the sky at weird times?
Indeed.
okay, I can see that you're saying that they think that the lights from the military base are aliens, but it also could be the other way, that aliens are attracted to military bases.
Or that the military is hiding alien abductions. I mean, let's be real here.
I feel like that's probably what's happening, really.
Look, I've watched enough X-Files to know that this is a possibility. Because, like, the X-Files is just a documentary, right?
Really, it really is.
So, here's an interesting fact about alien abductions. Most abduction accounts follow this sort of same sequence. Everybody that reports it goes along this way. 1, a capture. 2, the examination and a procedure. 3, communication with the alien, either telepathically or spoken in the human's language. 4, a tour of the ship. 5, loss of time. 6, being returned. And then 7, it's theophany. It's a high similar to taking a drug. The people feel like they have a oneness with God or with the universe. And then the last thing is the aftermath of the abduction. So the physiological or actual physical side effects or lasting impressions.
So basically most of the symptoms of taking LSD, is that what you're saying?
Round 2.
All right, Vanessa, what do you think the next degree is between alien abduction and dinosaur?
Okay, you guys, I wrote down so many things that it could be. And I, don't even know where to start. So
We like to hear the process, so let's hear what you got.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the first one that seems like an extremely mundane thing to pull out of this, but I wrote down California.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that that is my guess, but I was thinking about how maybe they've found a lot of like dinosaur bones in California. I don't know. I don't actually have any proof of this.
Oh, maybe.
But now that you've said that, I know that that's not what it is. Okay, I'm just going to pick something from this list, and it's probably going to be wrong.
Okay.
I am going to guess environmental abuse.
Ooh. Your guess of environmental abuse is sadly incorrect.
Dang it.
The next degree is sleep paralysis.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wrote that down.
Oh, I hate
It
that.
wasn't even on your long list.
Yeah, I have this long list. It's not on there. But I am very, very intrigued how this is going to go down. So I'm here for it.
Sleep paralysis is terrifying. It's when someone, during awakening or falling asleep, they're aware, but they can't move or speak. And often during these episodes, a person hallucinates.
Oh,
They can hear, feel, or see things that aren't there, often resulting in intense fear. And usually the sleep paralysis episodes last just a couple of minutes. It may occur just as a single random episode or as a recurring episode, which is no fun. There are lots of different possible causes. There haven't been a ton of studies on it. It can occur in people that are otherwise healthy, or people that have narcolepsy, or it can run in families. It can be a result of specific genetic changes. It can be triggered by sleep deprivation, psychological stress, an abnormal sleep cycle. Could be a dysfunction in REM sleep. There aren't very many treatment options, mostly cognitive behavioral therapy and medication. And the article said it's recommended that people who experience sleep paralysis be reassured that the condition is common and generally not serious. I'm sure that makes them feel so much better.
No.
no.
That sounds horrible.
I mean, it's like, okay, so I'm not going to die from it, but I still have to live it. So
Yeah.
thanks.
Right.
Exactly.
I just have to
Man.
feel like I'm going to die from it.
If you do experience sleep paralysis, there are some ways to reduce your chances of it. If you maintain a regular sleep schedule, reduce stress, practice meditation, and my favorite, don't sleep on your back. Apparently
Really?
it causes your palate to fall, which can affect your REM cycle.
Oh, that's
It's
weird.
very strange.
Had no idea.
Some history of sleep paralysis. Between 8 and 50% of people have experienced it at some point.
Oh.
About 5% of people have regular episodes of sleep paralysis.
Man.
And men and women are affected equally.
I had a boss that had it. And I remember he would come in once in a while and just be like, I did not sleep last night. And he had told me previously that he had this problem on a regular basis. And so I just always knew that that's what had happened if he came in and was like a total zombie.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
There's some weird things about sleep paralysis. They think that it actually played a role in the creation of some stories about alien abduction and other paranormal events.
Hey.
Which makes sense because people often feel like there's a demon sitting on top of them.
Ugh.
That reminds me, there's like a famous painting.
Yeah.
I don't know who did it.
Is it a demon on top of them?
Yeah. And it's somebody sleeping. And yeah, there's like a demon sitting on their body. And I feel like they're also, I think it might be the painting called like The Nightmare, because I think there's also like a ghostly figure of a horse.
There was a picture that looked like that in the article. That
Okay.
may have been the one. So there's some different types of sleep paralysis. Hypnagogic hallucination, which is when you feel like a supernatural creature is suffocating you, which is accompanied by a feeling of pressure on your chest and difficulty breathing,
Ugh, nope.
which is the most common one that people know about. Another example is a hallucination involving a menacing shadowy figure coming into your room or lurking outside your window,
No.
and you're paralyzed. You can't do anything about it.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't know which one's worse. They both sound horrible.
Yeah, no, they're both terrible.
Interesting fact about sleep paralysis. That may be where the concept of an incubus and succubus originated.
Oh.
Because it's a demon lying on a person in their sleep to seduce them.
That's interesting.
Round 3.
Okay, Vanessa, what do you think the next degree is?
This time I only wrote down 2 things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I just don't know. I'm going to go with a very simple word, creature.
Ooh. Your guess of creature is incorrect. The next degree is fear.
I almost wrote that down again. Dang it.
I know. I do that every time, too. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I should just go with like my first instinct.
It's just there's so many options.
Well, tell me about fear.
Fear is a feeling that's induced by the perception of danger or threat, and it occurs in certain organisms. It causes a change in metabolic and organ function, and mostly in behavior, obviously. It often triggers a fight or flight response, and really extreme cases can cause a freeze response or total paralysis. Just like scared stiff, I guess. Probably where that came from. Humans can experience the stimulus of fear in the present, or they can anticipate the future threat and feel fear because of that. So just anxiety, really, in general.
I was going to say, that's my life right there.
So people can have fears that are either rational or irrational, and irrational fears are usually called a phobia. And we've talked about phobias in the past, too. And I still don't know what the phobia is for whales. I'm sure there is one, but I don't need to know what it is, I guess.
It's probably like cetophobia or something.
Yeah, right?
Looking for the word.
Okay, you know what the fear of whales is called? Common sense.
It is cetophobia. I was right.
Nice. Good job.
What are you afraid of? I should have asked you so we could have started the spiral with that.
Oh, thanks.
It is October.
What am I afraid of? Usually things that are not really like, because I have anxiety. I'm very open about that, so I don't mind if you keep that in. Just sort of things that are not even really threats. If I had to think of like a fear of something, a big fear of mine is falling asleep at the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
that is scary.
I just really try to avoid getting to the point where that might happen.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that just sounds so awful. Like when I hear about it happening to people, I'm just like, it's just awful.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Psychologists have suggested that fear is one of the most basic emotions, along with anger, anxiety. See, everybody's got it. Fright, horror, joy, panic, and sadness. The point of fear is to generate a response that serves survival by causing a behavioral response. Signs of fear in humans are accelerated breathing or an accelerated heart rate, constriction of the blood vessels, so that could cause a blush, muscle tension, goosebumps, and sweating. Interesting fact about fear, people who have had damage to their amygdala are unable to experience fear.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard about that.
I don't know if that's good or bad. It seems like at first it'd be awesome, but then it could cause so many problems.
I mean, there is a point to having fears, so...
Yes.
There's an episode about this on Invisibilia, I think. And I don't remember all the things that they said, so everybody should just go listen to it. It's a really weird thing to have because, like Rosanna just said, fear is a human thing.
It's evolutionarily important.
Round 4.
Vanessa, are you ready to guess the degree between fear and dinosaur?
I am ready.
Besides being afraid of dinosaurs?
I mean, that would be a real fear. Like, if I just randomly saw a dinosaur...
Yeah.
My first inclination would not be like in Jurassic Park where she sticks her hands in the big piles of poop.
No. No.
No.
Well, okay, on that note, I think I'm going to guess survival.
Survival. I like it.
But it's wrong, isn't it?
Your guess of survival is incorrect, but on the right track.
Ooh.
The next degree is fight or flight response.
Oh. That's fair. That's a pretty darn obvious one, isn't it?
So the fight or flight response is also called hyperarousal or an acute stress response. It's a physiological reaction that occurs in response to a perceived harmful event, attack, or threat to survival. So there you go, survival right there. It was first described by Walter Bradford Cannon, which is kind of a cool name. The response is recognized as the first stage of how vertebrates and other organisms react to stress. So it actually uses multiple parts of the brain, not just one specific fear spot. It uses the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, releases hormones that basically make you freak out and try to do something.
Cool.
It increases your blood pressure and blood sugar and suppresses your immune system to give you a boost of energy to get your muscles ready for a reaction, whether it be fighting or running.
Wow, so that's like physiologically what happens in your body when you have that response? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. There's some other crazy stuff that happens.
I'm just always like marveling at the human body and how like complex it is and how all the systems are supposed to work together. And like, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Vanessa, what do you think are some examples of other physiological effects? Things that happen to your body during this response?
Ooh. This might seem kind of random, but I don't know, like your eyes dilate maybe?
That is one. Pupil dilation. Your heart rate and your breathing increase. And you can go pale or flush or alternate between the two.
That would be weird.
Which seems pretty messy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm imagining like flush, pale, flush, pale, flush, pale.
Well, it often triggers animals to use their camouflage. So I'm imagining camouflage on, off, on, off.
Whoa, yeah.
This one's weird. Your digestion slows or stops completely for this.
No way.
Isn't that weird? Your blood vessels constrict in most places in your body, but they dilate where they connect to your muscles to give them more blood flow.
Right.
That makes sense.
All of your bodily sphincters close up.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Good to know.
Yep.
That's just one thing you don't have to worry about while you're fighting or flighting.
Yep.
Indeed.
You can have loss of hearing, tunnel vision, and shaking.
Okay.
I think we've all experienced the shaking that comes with an adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Interesting fact about fight or flight response. Individuals that have higher levels of emotional reactivity, like maybe people with anxiety, are prone to, or maybe more prone to anxiety and aggression as part of this fight or flight response.
So they fight?
Well, not necessarily, but it seems like they're more likely to have a fight or flight response to something. Round 5.
Okay, Vanessa. We're really getting down to it now. What do you think the next degree is?
Okay. I have two things that I think could be sure winners.
Okay.
Oh,
Though maybe I
okay.
shouldn't get too confident. I am going to guess event.
Your guess of event, which is very broad. That's a guess. Is sadly incorrect.
Okay, here's what I was thinking about that one. I was thinking about how there's the meteor that, or asteroid, I guess, or whatever, that hit the Earth and supposedly killed the dinosaurs, which is an event.
That's true. That was an event. Everyone was there.
But they call it that, like in, astronomy, a lot of times
you're right,
they call
they
these
do.
kinds of things an event. So I was like, ooh, maybe.
An extinction event, yeah.
Yes.
But no,
but I
that's
am
wrong.
Okay. My other guess was vertebrates.
Well, the next degree is vertebrate.
Dang it.
I mean, I feel like we should give you half point for that.
Yeah, 50%.
Cool. You know what? If I even get done with this and just have half a point, I'm happy. Even if I had no points, it's all good.
So the article on vertebrate is pretty in-depth. I just skimmed it.
Well, there are a lot of types of vertebrates, so.
Yes, definitely. Vertebrates are all species of animals in the subphylum Vertebrata, indicating that they have a backbone. They make up most of the phylum Chordata, which has about 70,000 species, and that includes fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. The smallest in this group is a frog that can be 0.3 inches big. And the largest is, so I bet you'll never guess what the largest one is. It's a whale. Yeah, 108 feet for the whale.
Ooh, that's long.
Yes, yeah. A human can actually, crawl through its heart. The vessels in its heart.
Ah! No!
Yeah.
That's really weird to think about.
An average blue whale's mouth is the size of your average living room.
No!
Just picture that.
Can I just say right now, I am sitting in a very average living room.
Are you terrified?
I'm a little bit floored right now.
Yeah, it's a reasonable fear. I'm gonna keep defending myself.
Well, and when you live in the Pacific Northwest like we do, there are whales here.
Yes.
Okay, so back to vertebrates. The first vertebrates appeared around 525 million years ago.
Wow.
During the Cambrian explosion, which is kind of like an event, but fancier, I guess.
Also another good band name.
Ooh,
The Cambrian explosion! I love it!
I like that too.
I like it.
The very first vertebrates were flat, ugly, filter-feeding fish. Gross.
Hey, no judgment. They may have thought they were each pretty. Okay.
Well, I mean, they were flat. They couldn't see themselves or each other, really, I don't think.
Well, some of them led to humans, right? They evolved into humans, right?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah, actually, So sorry. So sorry.
You're talking about your great.
I was going to say, you're insulting my ancestors.
Great-grandma. Yeah. Respect your elders.
During the Devonian period, which was about 400 million years ago, the animal that was the transition between the fish and the amphibian showed up. And that animal was called the labyrinthodont.
Whoa.
That's like a joke name.
That's what I thought. Labyrinthodont. So labyrinth and don't.
Labyrintha do, labyrintha don't. I don't care. You do you, labyrinth.
Over half of the current living vertebrate species are fish. And that makes up 32,000 of the species. Then
Wow.
7,000 are amphibians, 10,000 are reptiles, 10,000 are birds, and then 5,500 are mammals. There is an estimate of 1.3 million species of vertebrates that are extinct. That's a lot.
Round 6. Vanessa, this is your last chance to increase your tally from 0.5 to 1.5.
Oh my goodness.
Or 1.
This is so nerve-wracking. Or 1, yeah.
That's true.
Oh, okay.
What is your guess between vertebrate and dinosaur?
Okay, I wrote down 3 things.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go for it.
All right. Let's do it.
Reptiles.
Your guess of reptiles is incorrect.
Really?
I see where you're going, and I like it, because the next degree is birds.
Oh my god, I thought about that too, because I know that birds are basically dinosaurs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm sure you're going to get to. But yeah, I was like, oh, it could be birds, but you know what? I don't know. Maybe reptiles is more accurate. I don't know, whatever.
I totally would have guessed reptile, too.
I would have guessed Cambrian explosion, because that's amazing.
But at least, reptiles isn't, that far off. It's not it's,
No.
totally
Yeah, not
off.
at all.
So,
It's
yeah,
a sensible
I feel good
guess.
about that.
So birds are a group of endothermic vertebrates, characterized by feathers, toothless beaked jaws, and the laying of hard-shelled eggs. They also have a really high metabolic rate, 4-chambered heart, and a very, very strong but lightweight skeleton. Their bones are super light.
Makes sense.
which obviously they need in order to fly.
Yeah.
Birds live worldwide on every single continent. They range in size from the 2-inch bee hummingbird, which sounds very cute,
Oh.
to the 9-foot ostrich.
Whoa.
Not as cute.
9 feet, eh?
9 feet.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that's how big they were.
And those are living birds. They were bigger before.
Yeah.
Some of them were bigger before. Some that are extinct. There are about 10,000 living species, and more than half of those are passerines, which is a perching bird. I didn't know there was a name for perching birds.
neither.
I thought it was perching bird.
Exactly. You know, birds that perch.
This article, as you'd expect, was incredibly long. I have chosen the weirdest facts.
Yay!
Awesome. I'm so excited.
All right, so they're very random, but they're very strange.
Cool.
Most birds can't move their eyes.
What?
Weird.
Oh.
But it explains all the, head turning
Oh,
to
yeah.
side to side. I'm doing, you can't see, but I'm doing the head twitch of a bird.
I can imagine it. Yeah.
I can totally imagine it too.
Feathers actually require a lot of maintenance. Birds preen or groom them every day, spending about 9% of their daily time on grooming.
Wow.
They're so full of themselves.
They even have a thing called a preen gland.
What?
That lets out the stuff they put on their feathers to make them antimicrobial and keep them clean.
Birds are antimicrobial?
Not totally.
Okay.
But a little. Their feathers are slightly antimicrobial.
That's so interesting.
There are a few species of birds that can use chemical defenses against predators. Some Procellariforms can eject an unpleasant stomach oil against an aggressor.
Ew.
Ooh.
It sounds just like they're throwing up on them.
Yeah.
That's how I
Yeah,
read
that's what that sounds like.
Mm-hmm. And some species of Pituhuis from New Guinea have a really powerful neurotoxin in their skin and feathers.
Oh.
So you take one bite, you're not taking a second. They're land birds that have a flight range of about 1,600 miles for one flight. Shorebirds can fly up to 2,500 miles.
What?
The bar-tailed godwit, which is another amazing name, is capable of a nonstop flight of up to, guess, how many miles can the bar-tailed godwit fly in one flight?
Were the other ones that you mentioned in one flight as well?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm going to go outrageous. 50,000.
50,000? Wow. Not quite.
Okay, fine. Knock off a couple zeros.
How many miles is the world's circumference?
I don't even know.
Can we fly around the entire world?
I don't know.
That would be amazing. Unfortunately, they can only fly 6,300 miles at a time.
Oh,
only.
well,
6,300 without stopping is a lot.
I thought maybe they were super birds. I don't know.
Here's some other cool numbers about birds. Migrations. The longest annual migration is that of the sooty shearwater. It nests in New Zealand and Chile, and then goes to the North Pacific off Japan, Alaska, and California.
Whoa.
Which is an annual round trip of 39,800 miles.
See? That's closer to 50,000.
That is. They do stop at some point, though.
Also, that was round trip.
Here's some interesting facts about the fascinating history of birds. And this is where we get into dinosaurs. So they've done reverse genetic engineering, and the fossil record demonstrates birds are modern feathered dinosaurs.
That's what I was thinking. Yep. And then didn't write it down as a guess. Oh, well.
The closest living relative of birds are, what do you think, that lives right now?
That's a good question.
What animal could it be?
Some kind of an iguana or something like that?
A crocodile. Oh. Well, the crocodilians.
Ooh, that makes sense.
So, alligators and crocodiles, yeah.
Vanessa, your guess was really good.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, I don't know, are iguanas and crocodiles related? Are they in the same categories?
I don't know.
Scientifically? I don't know. But I was just thinking, yeah, maybe something reptilian because of the whole dinosaur thing.
But now I really want to see a crocodile-sized iguana. I mean, I don't want to see it but
Nope.
it's a fun concept.
Oh boy.
I want to see an iguana-sized crocodile.
I think that's just a baby crocodile, Rosanna. They have those.
That's a thing. Hello?
So there's DNA-based evidence that shows that birds diversified just dramatically around the time of here's what it's called, the Cretaceous Palogene extinction event, which was 66 million years ago. And that killed off the pterosaurs and all the non-avian dinosaur lineages. But birds, especially those that were in the southern continents, survived. They were the only things that survived this event. And they migrated, bacteria. Then they migrated to other parts of the world, which helped them diversify during periods of global cooling.
I wonder how they survived.
It makes them the sole surviving dinosaurs. I think it's because they could, it's a total guess, but they could escape from places where other animals, land-based and water-based animals, would have been trapped.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They could get to places that had better air because of all the ash.
So birds are not just related to dinosaurs, they basically are dinosaurs.
Yep.
Wow. That just blew my mind.
I know, it's weird. Evolution's very interesting. All right, Rosanna, dinosaurs. Tell us about them.
Dinosaur. The diverse group of reptiles of the clade Dinosaurian first appeared during the Triassic period about 230 million years ago. The exact origin and timing of their evolution is still being debated and researched, and just based on the rest of this article that I read, it's still being debated and researched because it's like every single day they're discovering something that's changing the way they think about dinosaurs.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Dinosaurs became the dominant vertebrates after the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event over 200 million years ago. Birds are now recognized as the modern dinosaur. And this has been proven, like Nikki said, by genetic engineering and the fossil records. The discovery that birds are a type of dinosaur showed that dinosaurs in general are not technically extinct.
Bum, bum, ba.
Like, everybody's like, oh, dinosaurs, yeah, they're extinct. I mean, technically they're not.
Crazy. When you put it that way, it's crazy.
I know! It's so nuts.
Yeah.
So dinosaurs are divided into avian and non-avian. This particular article focused on dinosaurs that are extinct. Paleontologists have identified more than 1,000 different species of non-avian dinosaurs, and they've been found on every continent.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah.
It's always weird when things are found in the Arctic and Antarctic. Like, how did they get there?
Also, why are people looking there? That's weird.
Well, wouldn't that whole, Pangea thing make sense for why there are certain things
That's
in places?
true.
Yeah, absolutely.
I forgot about Pangea. Whatever with your history, Vanessa.
But I don't know, what the, geography of the Earth was when dinosaurs were around. I don't know if they had already started splitting apart or not. Maybe not.
Oh, that's a good question that I don't know the answer to.
No idea.
Listeners, if you know this, tell us.
Yeah.
So we don't have to look it up.
Yeah, if you're listening and you're a paleontologist, let's hear from you.
There you go.
Yes.
So, before the 1970s, which was really not that long ago, dinosaurs were thought to be sluggish and cold-blooded, but more recent research indicates that they were pretty active, and they had elevated metabolisms, and they were pretty social animals.
Oh.
The Deinonychus was an active predator and may have been warm-blooded. They're not sure yet.
What?
Really?
Yes. New dinosaurs are still being discovered in previously unexplored regions like India, South America, and Antarctica.
Cool.
That's weird that they haven't explored most of those places. I mean, we've been in most of those places a very long time.
Yeah, that is weird.
The amazingly well-preserved feathered dinosaurs that have been found in China helped prove the link between dinosaurs and their living descendants, the modern birds. So finding those feathers, tipped off the scientists. They're like, wait a second. This is new information. Some non-avian dinosaurs were bipedal, some quadrupedal, and some went back and forth. Sometimes they were on 2 legs, sometimes they were on 4.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Many dinosaurs had horns or crests or bony armor or spines.
Those are the coolest ones.
Fossils were first recognized in the early 19th century, and dinosaur skeletons obviously are a major attraction at museums. The enthusiasm and interest that people have had in them have led to their appearance in a lot of fiction, like Jurassic Park. And the interest that people have had in dinosaurs actually helps further the funding for actual dinosaur science and discovery.
Yay!
Interesting fact about dinosaurs. The largest dinosaur, the sauropod, is estimated to have reached 130 feet long and 59 feet tall. 59 feet tall!
Oh my goodness.
Still smaller than a blue whale.
I was just going to ask how that compares to the blue whale.
Okay, but that's if the blue whale was standing up, which they didn't do.
Can you imagine a blue whale standing on its tail? Just walking around on its fin.
But most dinosaurs obviously were much, much smaller. There were a lot of dinosaurs that were small, relatively. Scientists can't really say for sure which dinosaur was the largest or the smallest to ever exist, because only a tiny percentage of animals are ever fossilized, and most of those fossils are still buried. Finding a complete skeleton is rare, and impressions of skin and other soft tissue are almost non-existent.
So that means there could have been dinosaurs that we don't even know about, and maybe never will.
Mm-hmm.
And also another thing about fossils, there's no skin, there's no tissue, so... I mean, what if they were, super fat? I don't know. We don't know.
That's a really adorable image, actually.
All we know are bones and feathers now, and a little bit of tissue, but, tissue, it's just so unlikely for it to fossilize. So even though we know so much more now about dinosaurs that we knew even 40 years ago, there's still a ton we don't know yet.
And that's one reason we don't have much information about animals that have been around so long, like sharks, because they have so much cartilage, and that also disappears from the fossil record.
Well, we made it through all 6 degrees!
Yay!
We went from alien abduction to sleep paralysis to fear to fight or flight response to vertebrate to bird to dinosaur. Vanessa, what'd you think of the spiral?
I found this really interesting, especially because I had no idea where this was, how you were going to connect all the degrees. But then when you just read them back just now, I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. So that was cool.
It's so weird how that happens. They seem so disparate, but they aren't.
I found the very last degree that we just talked about super interesting because there were things in there about dinosaurs I did not ever know. So that's awesome.
It's time for Whim of the Week. Our whim this week is selected by our lovely guest, Vanessa. Vanessa, what have you chosen?
You guys asked me to think of something ahead of time, and I was having the hardest time thinking of something. And then today I realized I've been reading this book that is really, really interesting. So I recently, or maybe a year ago, discovered the term multipotentialite, which means somebody who has lots of different interests that may not seem to have any connection, and somebody like me who likes to try lots of different things out and maybe not continue all of them and just kind of is constantly exploring things.
So basically someone who's their own 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I love that.
Very apt.
So I discovered this TED Talk online by Emily Wapnick. I think I'm saying her last name right. And she does a TED Talk about this. And because of that TED Talk, I found that she also has an online community that she runs for people who are multipotentialites and just kind of need each other to lean on and whatever. And she also wrote a book. And so my whim of the week is her book. And it's called How to Be Everything.
Ooh, good title.
Right? Yeah. And it's basically helping you to figure out how to be that multi-potentialite in the world. So I definitely recommend that.
Oh, I love that.
That sounds really neat. Well, thank you for that excellent book recommendation, Vanessa. And thank you so much for coming on our show. I hope that you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun having you on.
I had so much fun. Thanks so much.
So everyone, check out Vanessa's podcast, Not Another X-Files Podcast. Because if you listen to this show, you probably like some really weird stuff. And X-Files is definitely up your alley.
And we're pretty weird, so.
That's our episode. Tune in next time for another 6 Degrees of Wiki. Keep up with us at 6degreesofwiki.com and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to let us know what you think.
Looking for early access to episodes and bonus content like bloopers? Go to patreon.com to become a 6 Degrees of Wiki patron and get discounts on merch or even help us choose degrees. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Dig-a-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.